Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Tactical Breakdown series, the show in which we look at the players that Arsenal are linked to, we look at them in an analytical way, in a statistical way, and break them down to the key information, the key stats, so that you can get the most informed information possible in the whole entire world of YouTube and Arsenal and football, right into your brain, and you can be learning all about those players. And basically, you'll be more in tune, more educated as to what is going on in the world of Arsenal and football. So today is a great day to be thinking about football and Arsenal, because Arsenal are on the verge, or when this is uploaded, have signed Nicolas Pepe from Lille from around 80 million euros, about 72 million pounds, a huge amount of money. And what I'm doing today is I'm going to be doing a Q&A with a good friend of the show, been on a few times now, our French football expert Jeremy Smith, at JeremySmith98 on Twitter. And we did a show like this when William Saliba signed, which you can still go and check out, in a style of a Q&A, questions so you can get the best expert info on that player, not just hearing me rabble on about the research that I've done, but actually getting it from the source, from the experts, so you don't have to listen to me. But if you are enjoying the series, of course, please give the shows a like, please subscribe if you're new to get more content like this. Trust me, whenever we sign a player, I'll be getting you that expert info throughout the season. I'll be getting you the expert information from opposition teams, from other fans, so you want to subscribe to keep up with the information and the quality content as we move through the season. Of course, leave your comment in the comment section below. I read through them all, reply to as many as I can, and obviously I really appreciate every single positive comment that comes out of that comment section. So let's get straight into today's video. As I said, we're joined by Jeremy Smith at JeremySmith98 on Twitter, French football expert, worked for plenty of different mediums, and he's going to give you some fantastic answers to the questions when I questioned him previously about this. So the question, which is very, very easy to ask initially, is he effectively very surprised at the fact that Arsenal have signed Nicolas Pepe?
Barring a real last-minute shock, it looks like Nicolas Pepe is going to be an Arsenal player by the end of the week. And to be honest, I am quite surprised at that. He had a real stellar season last year, 22 goals and 11 assists, and that was off the back of a positive season the year before. And if Lille and Nicolas Pepe's agents are to be believed, practically every top club in Europe was after him, including Atletico, Napoli, Liverpool, Bayern, Inter, Man United, Everton also mentioned. So obviously Arsenal are certainly as big a club as many of them, but considering that they're not in the Champions League and some of those others are, and the price being touted as around 80 million, and the stories were that Arsenal didn't have that much to spend, it didn't look like they were favourites. So it is a surprise that they've won out, and I think it's a real coup. It says a lot about their selling power at the moment, and also says a lot about their sort of bargaining, that they managed to come out with some kind of deal whereby the money would be spread over the years so that they can still afford him. So yeah, great work from Arsenal pods in the background.
That's something that I've been a huge backer of, is really appreciating the work that's been going on in the background by the Arsenal board, by Raul and Edu, and even Vinay to some aspect, I'm sure, that have got this deal over the line. These are identified, hopefully by Unai Emery. Hopefully Emery is still massively involved in the players that are being chosen by the club to be into his squad, and hopefully he's identified as Pepe as someone that he likes. He said it in the press conference, and then they've gone out and done it. What I like about this deal, and what Jeremy says there, is that lots of clubs were in for this guy. We were obviously in competition with Napoli, that's well documented, but we saw there were links to Liverpool and to Bayern Munich earlier on in the window. There were links to Inter Milan, and these clubs aren't small fry. They're definitely not. And so the fact that we've managed to get this player in and compete against clubs that had Champions League football really does go to show how much of a coup this deal is, and it's going to be really exciting to see how Pepe progresses into next season. Speaking of which, let's get some information on what the player is like. So, in terms of the next question, what are the attributes key to Pepe's game which has led him to stand out this season?
I'm not going to lie, probably it's fair to say that Nicolas Pepe's main attribute is his speed. He's a really, really fast winger, but it's not fair to kind of put his ability or his success last season down to just that. He's certainly not a Walcott type, and he really has over the last couple of years developed a good footballing brain. He plays off the right wing and cuts in on his left, but whereas by his own admission he used to be quite selfish, quite sort of head down and just go for the byline or the goal without looking at other options. He's really now become a good team player and showing good judgment as to when to hold on to the ball, when to shoot, when to pass, and his 11 assists last year, obviously a testament to that. There's still an element of rawness to him, but his learning curve and his improvement over the last year shows that it's not just about the speed. He knows what he's doing, he knows where he's going, and as long as he keeps that good attitude, he's only going to improve.
Hearing that he's just not another Theo Walcott is obviously music to many Arsenal fans' ears, but we need some pace on that wing. Obviously, Auba is no slouch, and neither is Mkhitaryan. But we've had Lacazette and Aubameyang. Obviously, they've got pace to them. It's underrated to say that Aubameyang's got pace. He's got a gazelle's width of pace to him. That guy can run for absolutely days. But Nicolas Pepe is going to add even more rapid speed and velocity to our front three, but it's key that this guy has got an end product to his game, as Jeremy said earlier. Obviously, the amount of goals that he scored shows that. In our tactical breakdowns previously on him, we've looked at his great and fantastic shooting, and although quite a lot can be choreographed into the same sort of format with a cut inside and a shot either across the keeper in terms of a finesse shot or a low-driven shot to the keeper's near post, these are done in variation. He takes them from different positions around and in the box, and so there is an element of unpredictability to his game. So what Jeremy said there is spot on. But the key, he's not just another Theo Walcott. He's got a lot more than just the pace that he possesses, and so that's going to be really good to use in the Arsenal team. In terms of the next question then, are there any key weaknesses to his game?
In terms of weaknesses to Pepe's game, I guess they're the sort of standard types of weakness that you'd expect from a sort of wide attacking player. Occasionally he can be a little selfish or keep the ball too much. He's got all the skills, but possibly at times wants to show them off a little too much. And certainly for, as is kind of quite standard for an attacking player in France, there's a little bit less onus on the defensive side. So he needs to work on that, although he's always shown a lot of willing to track back and help his team. So that they're all sort of standard things. I don't think they're anything to be hugely worried about, because as I said, that they're all things that he's already shown a hell of a lot of improvement on in the last 18 months. So as long as Emery keeps an eye on him and he's got a good management structure around him, I think they're all things that can be sort of ironed out or certainly monitored to not become any kind of serious problem.
It really is shaping up rather positively about Nicolas Pepe, isn't it? His weaknesses don't seem to be too weak, while his strengths seem to shine and allow the Ivorian to stand out amongst the rest of the players. Obviously, we talked about in the earlier programme that we've done previously about how his defensive work happens. You can obviously go and check that video out still. In fact, I'll leave it in the description for you to easily click onto it. Where we talked about how much he actually helps out the defence and helps out the fullback. For me, that's not really an issue. We've seen from the stats in that video that he does do that. He does help out. And there's going to be another question forwarded to Jeremy in just a second, where you're going to hear a little bit more about what he does in terms of getting back and defending. But what was key in there is that there is a weakness to identify, possibly his selfishness, how he keeps onto the ball for too long. We have had a few wingers in the past that have done that. I mean, Gervinho comes to mind and then had no end product whatsoever. Iwobi currently can frustrate a lot of players with the fact that he does a lot of skills, but his end product's not there. And so hopefully we're going to see with Pepe someone who can take that to the next level, that yes, still got the tricks and the skills and the ability to take a player on and get past them, but ultimately the end product is good and can actually come up with the goods in the end of it. Moving on to the next question then. Arsenal fans are scratching their heads as to how we now fit Auba, Laca and Pepe into the same team. Auba has struggled when he's on the left wing. How do you think this will be done, and how do we think we fit them all in?
In terms of where Pepe fits into the team and how he plays with the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang, he's shown already that he can adapt to different systems. Earlier in his career, he played as a centre forward, not hugely successfully, but that was partly because obviously he was a lot younger and more inexperienced, and playing, for example, under a real struggling Lille with Bielsa, which really wasn't working out. But I think there's scope for him to be converted into a centre forward. He can play on the wide of a 4-4-2. He can play on the wide of a 4-3-3, and as he did quite a few times at Lille last year, he can play as a sort of the wide man of a 3, playing behind a central centre forward. So there's scope there for Emery to adapt and try different formations. There will be maybe a bit of stepping on each other's feet in terms of him and Aubameyang preferring to play on the right, but they're both quality players. You'd have thought that they should both be able to adapt to playing on the left, and Pepe in particular being left-footed, although it annuls his ability to cut inside and shoot. Possibly it brings you something else if he's able to sort of go for the byline and put in a good cross, and his crossing ability is improving all the time. So there's lots there for Emery to work with.
Now, this answer I actually found the most interesting of them all because we were talking about the positioning of the player. And of course, when I did the video and the tactical breakdown on the different positions in which those three could be placed in, Lacazette, Auba and Pepe, we came to sort of the conclusion that Aubameyang would have to be pushed out to the left-hand side to accommodate the strengths and the qualities of Pepe's game being on the right. But Jeremy says there that they both got the quality to be able to be moved out to the left. And if you've now got a position where you could actually have a bit more freedom, for instance, you could rotate it, you could have fluidity throughout the game where you have both of them playing on their stronger foot without cutting inside, so the right winger being right-footed and the left winger being left-footed. And you could alternate that throughout the game to make the opposition obviously extremely confused. And you can use that to make yourselves more unpredictable. And so maybe that's something that we could use to our benefit. Moving forwards, then the next question, Arsenal needs someone on the wing who puts in the hard graft to get back and help the fullbacks. Is Pepe that player?
In terms of whether Pepe can put in the hard graft to support Arsenal's defence, I think that in your tactical breakdown the other day where you looked at Pepe and Zaha, you can see that he is more than willing to put in his defensive shift. As I said, it's not common necessarily, or not as common for attacking players in France to be expected to trap back and help their defence, but certainly under Gautier, Lille's team ethic was very much sort of soak up the pressure from the other team and then hit them on the break. So Pepe was a crucial part of that, and a lot of Lille's most eye-catching goals last year were based on their attacking players, including Pepe at times, winning the ball back on the edge of their own area and then breaking quickly. So depending on the system, he can be a crucial part of that, and he's certainly willing to help his defence. He's certainly got the stamina to be able to cover the full length of the wing week in, week out. It's something that he needs to work on, but there shouldn't be any worries on that front.
Good to know that Jeremy's watching our tactical breakdown episodes. Good stuff. But ultimately, it's good to know that we don't seem to have too many worries about Pepe in that defensive area. He's going to get back, he's going to trap back, he's going to do his job when it's necessary, and he's going to cover those players. As I said earlier on, if you want to check out the video we did covering what Pepe's like in a defensive sense, you of course can. But it's key to understand that Pepe is a runner, and he uses that pace both in an offensive sense and also to trap back and help out his defenders, which is really positive. To finish off the round of questions, I wanted to ask something which is obviously about the price tag that comes with him. So similar to Saliba, we've put a huge amount of money down on someone who's only shown real quality over a short period, about 18 months or so. As he said, he struggled under Bielsa. How much of a risk is this financial outlay for the Gunners?
Of course, spending 80 million euros on a player is a risk, but I think in Pepe's case it's a good calculated risk. He's been on a constant learning curve and improvement throughout his career, and some people say he's only had one good season, but really it's been a really strong 18 months now for him, and last year only Kylian Mbappe had better stats than him in Liga, so there's clearly a quality player there ready to break out if given the opportunity. You look at, say, Ousmane Dembele, for example, on whom Barcelona spent over 100 million. You look at their comparative stats, experience, maturity, and frankly, Pepe is 20, 30 million euros less than that is a bargain, you could argue. So no one can say for sure whether he's going to be a success, but generally, certainly for the attacking players, I think Arsenal have been pretty good judges of quality players coming in from Liga, and there's no reason why Pepe can't sort of follow in the footsteps of the likes of, I don't know, Henry, Wiltord, and obviously Lacazette more recently, even Aubameyang, although that was via Dortmund, in becoming another successful import from the French system.
I don't think it can actually be understated how having three players that all came through at some stage of their career a system in Liga, being Aubameyang at Saint-Etienne, Lacazette at Lyon, and of course now Pepe from Lille, I don't think that can be understated in how the chemistry will be increased and improved by that happening. I think it's really important that we see players from the same league integrate with each other. They know their strengths and weaknesses. They may have played against each other in the past. But ultimately, they're going to have some really good connections between each other. And as a front three, Laca and Auba and Pepe, I'm hoping we can see adapting to be one of the most deadly front threes in the league. The outlay, as Jeremy says, is not seemingly a risk, especially when you consider the structure of the payments and how we're only paying a certain amount up front and then paying the rest off the rest of the years of the contract. And whilst that may limit transfer funding going to obviously the season upon season, I still think it's important to consider that this could be someone that has either massive sell-on value at the end of his contract, in which we can, these transfers are going to the hundreds of millions, and if he's going to be absolutely smashing it in the Premier League, you can be sure that it'll become worth that amount of money in no time. So to think that we could actually have someone on board who's worth that amount of money and has resale value, or we've then got someone that we can renew the contract of, hopefully still keeping their wages down, not making the same mistake we did with Mesut Ozil, of course. But we need to have that sell-on value of players, and you can't be understating how much value that's worth. A huge thank you to Jeremy Smith then, who's joined me today to talk about Nicolas Pepe, and I hope you have enjoyed this Q&A style. If you have, please let me know in the comment section below. Check out the other videos that we've done. Obviously, I said we've done one on William Saliba in this exact same style with Jeremy Smith. So please do go check that one out. The link will be in the description. But enjoy the rest of your day. Absolutely fantastic that Pepe will be joining Arsenal and we'll be seeing him in the lineup next season. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And as always, up the Arsenal.